When I said 2022 was going to be an exciting year for Apple, and especially the Mac, I didn't even envision that it was going to be this exciting, with Apple planning to launch an absurd amount of new products for the calendar year with possibly five, yes, five new Macs and new iPhones and new AirPods and three new Apple Watch models and maybe even a new product category. Yeah, it's going to be a very busy and a very exciting year for Apple. So busy, in fact, that I really need a vacation. So after this, I think I'm taking a break. Nah, I'll just keep going. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Greg here, and it's true. It seems like my prediction that 2022 was going to be a mega year for Apple seemingly just got a whole lot truer with this new report out from Mark Gurman detailing the entire 2022 lineup from Apple. So if you want to make sure you're informed for the entire year, make sure you're subscribed because next year is literally right around the corner. And also while you're here, I just want to take a second and thank you all for your continued support and especially for the positive reception I got on yesterday's video where I did sort of this retrospective on Apple and kind of how they're changing as a company. If you missed that video, I'll leave it right up here. But yeah, the reviews for that style of video were crazy good, so I'll definitely be sure to make a few of those in the future. All right, so enough self-promotion. What the heck are we expecting from Apple in 2022? Well, I want to mainly focus on Mac stuff because that's my favorite, but we do have a lot of products listed out in this timeline from Mark Gurman that I want to go through. So first up on the list is a brand new iPad Pro. Yes, it feels like the last iPad Pro was released like yesterday, but apparently we are already expecting a new one that actually sounds pretty different and might be the first iPad Pro redesign in quite some time. Apparently that will be with a new glass back design. Yes, a glass back, which will now support wireless charging and I assume a MagSafe style of charging. Now, this is interesting. First of all, we have never had a glass-backed iPad before, so the question of how durable this design would be, or if there will be any other benefits, or actually any drawbacks to switching to a glass back is kind of up in the air at this point, but I assume it would be a matte glass back like we have on the iPhone Pro series. And again, the main reason Apple wants to do this, according to Gurman, is to add wireless charging to their iPad lineup. Now, wireless charging would be a nice addition, but you have to question the validity of needing it on an iPad Pro. Most wireless chargers are pretty small, and maybe this would be a good idea for like the 11-inch iPad Pro, maybe an iPad mini, but I just can't imagine placing like a 12.9-inch iPad Pro down on some wireless charging pad. Like, that kind of sounds ridiculous. But I think the main benefit of this wireless charging system would be through MagSafe. That system of charging for the iPad, even on a 12.9-inch iPad Pro, makes a lot more sense than just the standard Qi charging. We're also expecting other updates to the iPad Pro lineup, obviously, so a mini LED for the 11-inch model, a more powerful M2 chip for both models, and hopefully some software improvements. Now, Apple also is looking to update the rest of their iPad lineup as well. So an updated iPad Air, which I will assume will get the same A15 chip as the iPad mini, and of course an update to the entry-level iPad, which I guess means we could see that packing a more powerful chip as well, maybe like the A14, which would be crazy in a $329 tablet. Of course, we are also expecting new iPhones, first with the iPhone SE, which should be getting an A15 chip and 5G with a target date of an early 2022 release date, and of course the iPhone 14, which could have a pretty drastic redesign. I don't want to bore you on details there though, because I literally just did 2 dedicated videos on both of those devices, so it would just be the same information again here. So if you want more info on those iPhones, make sure you check out the videos up here. We're also supposedly getting an update to AirPods Pro, and these actually might turn out to be a pretty big refresh if these rumors turn out to be true. Apple is rumored to be changing the design on AirPods Pro completely by removing the stems and changing to a rounder and ear design. We've also seen some sketchy rumors of AirPods 2 coming with a new case that has a speaker grill, which could be there to emit sound. So say if you lost your AirPods and then you ping them with Apple's Find My, well, then the AirPods 2 could play a sound and it would be a lot easier to find them. AirPods 2 are more interesting sounding than I thought they would be, but I'm actually a little worried about these rumors. I really like the form factor of current AirPods Pro, and I like the stems and all that. So if AirPods Pro are getting rid of them, I don't know if I would be a fan of that. I find that AirPods are one of the easiest earbuds to take in and out of your ear, and they also are just super comfortable in your ear. And a lot of the in-ear designed earbuds that I've used, they're okay for like an hour in your ear, but after more than that, they kind of get a little bit uncomfortable to me. So I hope Apple takes comfort in mind even above sound quality, because I really like the comfort of AirPods Pro. Okay, another thing we should expect, of course, when iPhone season rolls around is new Apple Watches. And this could be a pretty major year for the Apple Watch after the small update to the Series 7, with Apple rumored to be working on 3 different Apple Watch models, with an update to the Apple Watch SE, which I assume would keep the same design with the older 40 and 44mm sizing, but I think it will get a bump up in the processor, likely moving over to like an S6 chip, and I also think it's likely we could see the SE get features like the always-on display. Although, I still think it will lack a lot of the health sensors, because I think that's where a majority of the cost is for the Apple Watch right now, so maybe we'd get like one, but I wouldn't expect like the full ECG and then the blood oxygen sensor, and then whatever health sensors come to the Series 8, if it gets a new health sensor. Speaking of the Series 8, we still don't know too much about this watch and what rumored features it will bring, although I do think it's fair to make some assumptions here, that at least for the Series 8, I do expect a processor bump this year. We didn't get one with the Series 7, so for this year it makes sense to get a faster processor. As for the design, I don't think there will be a new design. There aren't concrete rumors or information on that just yet, but technically the Series 7 was a new design, and it's unusual for Apple to do 2 design changes, one generation after the other. So I think it's going to look the same, but I do think there's a good chance we could see some new health sensors in the Series 8, maybe something to read body temperature. But overall, the details on the Series 8 are pretty sparse right now. The only thing we know is obviously it's coming because Apple refreshes the Apple Watch every single year. However, there is one last bit of information on the 2022 Apple Watch lineup, and that is that we are expecting a 3rd model, which behind the scenes is being referred to as an Explorer Edition. This 3rd option is rumored to be a tougher version of the Apple Watch that is made for activities like hiking and would feature a thicker, rubberier exterior similar to something like a Casio G-Shock watch, which would be a departure from the Apple Watches we have now with their sleek metal finishes. This watch would focus on durability, and while it's not rumored, I think if it's an Explorer Edition, it could be even thicker. I think it's possible Apple could make this watch physically bigger in size as well to put a larger battery in it. I say this because the current Apple Watch will run out of battery life pretty quickly if you activate the workout feature for a prolonged period of time. So I could definitely see Apple focusing the marketing around this watch for longer outdoor activities, and they could give it a big bump in battery life so it could fit those needs. That's not based on rumors though, that's just based on my speculation if they're actually going to go through with this separate Explorer edition of a watch. But yeah, either way, with a new Apple Watch model in the lineup this year, it's going to be an interesting year to see what Apple can do to shake up the Apple Watch, which has kind of felt perfected at this point. Like, I don't know what more they can do, but I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with it. Last but not least, I told you, this is going to be a big year for the Mac, and it looks like I am not wrong here, with Apple planning to launch at least 5 new Macs this year. And I am really excited because, first off, we are expecting updates to Apple's desktop line of computers with a brand new 27-inch redesigned iMac complete with a mini LED display and more powerful chips like the M1 Pro and M1 Max, and possibly we may see an even more powerful Apple Silicon variant in the form of an M1 Max Duo chip, which will bring an insane amount of power to Apple's flagship desktop computer. I am just so excited for this iMac, primarily for that big screen with the mini LED display technology, but I'm also very curious to see just how powerful Apple Silicon can get when it is plugged in and unconstrained from battery life requirements. But I don't expect this iMac to be cheap. I think we're going to see starting prices ranging from anywhere from $2,500 to maybe even $3,000. But this could be one of the first Macs we see refresh for 2022, and most rumors are pointing to a first quarter release date, so it's possible we could see this announced at like an Apple March event. Of course, we may also see another Mac introduced alongside that iMac, and that would be a new Mac Mini, which would be even smaller, have a plexiglass top, around 3 to 4 USB-C ports, an HDMI port, an Ethernet port, and I personally think an SD card slot. I think the Mac Mini here will use the M1 Pro and M1 Max chips that the current MacBook Pros have, but it should be more price friendly, probably around $1,000, possibly making this the ultimate desktop choice for pros and creatives alike. Later that year, we should also see Apple's new desktop Mac Pro, which is rumored to be half the size of the current Mac Pro, but is going to be packed with Apple Silicon, and even more Apple Silicon than the iMac, because this Mac Pro is rumored to come up to chip designs with up to 4 M1 Max chips working together for a maximum 40-core CPU variant and a 128 GPU core variant. The sheer computing force of nature this Mac Pro will be just sounds insane, but there's a lot of details Apple needs to work out about this Mac Pro, including if there will be expandability, how many ports this thing will have, and honestly, if Apple could figure out a better first-party display option besides the Pro Display XDR. I know that's like a great display, but it's $5,000, and even though it's a great display, it's kind of actually starting to sound a little bit outdated in the display technology when all of these Macs are starting to, be rumored to come with 120 hertz displays. So it will be interesting to see if Apple releases a 120 hertz mini LED display this year. Now, there's also 2 other new Macs we could see released for 2022. The first is obviously the very hotly anticipated MacBook Air. This MacBook Air is rumored to be even lighter and thinner than the previous version and come in a wide array of color choices, just like the M1 iMac. It's even rumored to come with a MagSafe port, 2 USB-C ports, and could feature a very similar design to the recent MacBook Pros by featuring that notch. More importantly, it could also come with Apple's excellent mini LED display, which would be a great choice for consumers who want that amazing display but don't need the raw horsepower that the MacBook Pro offers. Of course, it will also come with a brand new generation of Apple Silicon, and this will be our first glimpse at the M2 chip, which will feature higher single-core and multi-core performance, better graphics performance, and could possibly fix shortcomings of the regular M1 chip by allowing more bandwidth for I/O and allowing for connections for multiple monitor setups. Finally, and to my surprise, Gurman says we should expect an update to the entry-level Mac Pro as well, and this is really interesting because we don't have too much information to go on here. Now, a new entry-level MacBook Pro sounds a little redundant right now, honestly, especially with that new MacBook Air on the horizon, but it could be Apple's way to offer an even cheaper alternative to the M1 Pro versions of the MacBook Pro with a lot of the same benefits, because those are pricey. So what I could envision for this entry-level MacBook Pro is maybe the same design as the 14-inch MacBook Pro, maybe a smaller 13-inch display, but maybe it comes with the M2 chip, a reduced thermal design, considering it doesn't have to have an advanced thermal design to cool the chip properly. I would also expect a smaller battery than the 14-inch version, again, because the M2 chip's efficiency would just be so much better, so it wouldn't need a bigger battery, so it would probably end up a little bit lighter as well. And I could also see other concessions to save on price, so maybe things like weaker speakers. Obviously, it would drop the touch bar for a function key row, and it could have similar but reduced ports for something maybe along the lines of just 2 Thunderbolt ports, then maybe a MagSafe port, and maybe they'll put like an HDMI port or an SD card slot, or choose between whatever port's more popular there. I don't know. I would imagine that would be priced around $1,400 with like a 256 gigabyte SSD drive and 8 gigabytes of memory. And for that, that could actually be a compelling product there. So I'm not gonna knock it. $1,400, an M2 MacBook Pro, and you get some of those ports and that design. I think that's a fair trade-off. This could actually end up being a very interesting device. And there is one more thing. Apparently this year we could see an entirely new product from Apple, and this could be the year we finally see Apple's long-rumored Apple virtual reality / augmented reality mixed reality headset. There is a lot of rumors about this device, and Gurman is saying that Apple is planning to launch it this year. However, rumors are all over the place, and specs for it sound insane, with possibly 8K resolution micro LED displays, a powerful M1 or M2-like chip to run the headset, advanced sensors, and a rumored starting price that could be as high as $3,000. I really hope that's not true, because that just sounds like a failure waiting to happen. But either way, Apple getting into the VR or AR space would be really interesting, and it would definitely make for a super exciting 2022. But yeah, that is basically everything we are expecting for Apple's Mega 2022 lineup, and it sounds like it could be the most exciting year for Apple in, years. A whole new product category can build up that hype insanely quick. But as to whether we get all of these products or what hidden details we have yet to learn about them, we still need to learn a lot, actually. Well, we gotta wait. So make sure you're subscribed! And if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. And as always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care, everyone.